So today, we're going to tackle a productivity system that's become legendary. It's been called a second brain, the secret weapon of geniuses, but also a super complicated, overhyped mess. We are getting to the bottom of Zettelkasten.
And it all starts with this absolutely wild statement from its creator, Niklas Luhmann. I mean, does that sound like the path to genius or a total productivity nightmare?
Hello to all viewers of my channel. We're going to dig into that exact question, diving into the incredible promise of the Zettelkasten, unpacking some of the really harsh criticisms, and trying to figure out if this controversial tool is actually right for you.
So, who was this guy who spent more time on his notes than his actual books? Well, Niklas Luhmann was a German sociologist, and when I say he was productive, I mean he was a force of nature. We're talking over 70 books and hundreds of articles. And his secret weapon? It was basically a simple set of filing cabinets. And what was inside those cabinets? 90,000 individual notes. You heard that right. But this wasn't just some random collection. It was like an intellectual partner, a dynamic web of ideas that he actually called his conversation partner. This little slip box was the engine behind his legendary output.
Zettelkasten, it literally just translates to slip box. But here's the thing. The crucial part isn't the box. It's that this system isn't for just, passively storing stuff. It's a dynamic network. Luhmann saw it as a thinking partner that could literally generate new, unexpected ideas by connecting thoughts that were recorded years apart.
Okay, so how does it actually work? Because it's not just about writing things down. The magic is in a few core principles that turn what would be just a pile of notes into a real thinking machine. These are pretty much the non-negotiables. First, atomicity, one idea per note. That lets you link things in really flexible ways. Then, autonomy. You need to be able to understand a note years from now without its original context. Linking, well, that's what creates the network. Rephrasing is huge. It forces you to actually learn the material, not just copy it. And finally, preservation means you never delete. Your system becomes a record of your intellectual journey, mistakes and all. It sounds absolutely amazing in theory, right? A personal Wikipedia that literally helps you think. But if you've spent any time at all looking this up online, you've probably felt this sense of overwhelming complexity. And trust me, you are not alone. So let's talk about the other side of the coin. Because for every Zettelkasten evangelist out there are dozens of people who've tried it and just quit in frustration. And their critiques are sharp. And you know what? They are incredibly valid. These criticisms really kind of feed into each other. I mean, the system is complex, but there's no official manual from Luhmann, just a couple of essays. This leaves everyone to interpret it, and they often create even more complicated rules. Plus, it takes years to build a critical mass of notes, which is a massive time commitment for anyone who isn't a full-time academic. And this quote I saw online just brilliantly illustrates the core problem for so many people. It captures the feeling perfectly. Most of us, we just need to remember project details, or save a recipe, or take some meeting notes. We don't need a system designed to generate sociological theory for the next 40 years. It can be massive overkill. This brings us to one of the biggest points of conflict in this whole world. Luhmann used paper index cards. We use apps like Obsidian, Roam, and Notion. And it turns out that difference is way more than just cosmetic. Okay, so this is the crucial point. You got to get this. Luhmann's system wasn't just about random links. He used a really specific numbering system, something like 21/3D7A, to place a new note directly after a related one, creating a linear train of thought. He was literally growing an argument, branch by branch. A lot of our digital tools, they focus on creating a web of backlinks, which is powerful for sure, but it can lose that deliberate sequential development of an idea. The manual friction of the paper system actually forced deeper thinking. So we've seen the genius, and we've seen the mess. Where in the world does that leave us? Is this a system you should adopt, or just avoid completely? Well, the answer, like it so often is somewhere in the middle. This right here is the key. The goal isn't to perfectly replicate Niklas Luhmann's personal filing cabinet from the 1960s. That's impossible and honestly probably pointless. The real value is in understanding the principles behind it, and then applying them in a way that actually works for you. And this is where personalization is everything. Maybe you love the idea of atomic notes, but you just ignore the complex numbering. Maybe you love linking, but you find you still need folders for your projects. That's great. The online forums are full of people creating their own hybrid systems. Think of it less like a rigid structure and more like a garden you have to cultivate. It's personal, it's a little messy, and it grows with you over time.
Ultimately, that's what this is all about. It's not about building some flawless, rigid cathedral of knowledge. It's about cultivating a space where you can have a lifelong conversation with your own thoughts, your questions, and your discoveries. The tool doesn't matter nearly as much as the habit of thinking and connecting. So the real question is, how will you start that conversation? Hey, subscribe to the channel and give this a like, and also let me know what topics you'd like to see in future videos down in the comments.